Morality.
Tonight, we rant and rave about Godzilla Minus One, as well as participate in some artistic nudity and get into the holiday spirit, taking a look at Violent Night and Christmas Vacation, as well as some pop culture and video game news. All this coming up right now on... And welcome to the last episode of the Writer Brothers for the year, at least as far as the podcast is concerned. I am your host, P.D. York, joined, of course, by Mr. Pollo Zapatos, Mr. Skogly Yoden, Mr. Corione Witched Residence, and of course, the lovely H. Marie, who's just gonna pop in when it's convenient. You want to quickly say something there, H. Marie?
Oh, there we go. Well, if Streamlabs StreamYard will let me unmute myself, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'll just be kind of popping in and out tonight. So.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, like I said, we've got a great show planned tonight. Going to send us off our final podcast of 2023, where we take a nice 2-week break to focus on ourselves, so to speak. I mean, I'm still going to be doing game streams, of course. Don't think that we're going offline for 2 weeks. I mean, that might not be a bad idea at some point, maybe in the middle of summer or something. But you know, a little summer vacation next year. We'll see.
TBD.
Well, you know, it kind of is and it isn't. Like, we've been talking behind the scenes, and we've kind of mentioned it before, but going into the third year of this, we're very happy overall, I think, with the success of this channel and where we're going, and I think we all feel comfortable with the content creation and what we're putting out there. But
that's why we've decided to sell to Amazon.
Exactly. Yes, this is our day that our Amazon is finally. Yes, Daniel Large says so. PD, is your war finally over? Oh, Daniel, stick around. We are gonna get into it because that was not the movie that I was expecting whatsoever.
And I, for one, welcome our Jeff Bezos overlords. and
Exactly,
would like
yeah.
to
So
remind
back
him
to
that,
selling out to Amazon. Exactly. No. Writer Brothers isn't for sale. We are sitting at a solid 399 real actual folks, at least as far as I know. And there's lots of other real actual folks we still intend to reach, and we want to get out there. And so to do that, though, for the Tuesday show, we're going to start bringing a little bit more professionalism into our presentation. Now, this is kind of more to do with my, slacking on show prep, which I did not this time. Just tightening the bolts and screws.
Crusader,
Huh?
the Comic Relief Crusader writes in, "Damn, sold to Amazon. What's the pay like?" Hey, just ask
We
their
actually
workers.
have to
We're
pay
all
them.
being in jars too.
We're actually paying them a $2,000 service fee for them to promote our stuff, but they're promoting it on Amazon Kindle. It's actually like behind my book in sales. But anyway.
And we all are strapped to catheters. It's now part of the uniform.
Yep.
Again,
and
love process.
it looks like the Comic Relief Crusader has subscribed, so that puts us at 400 subscribers.
Yeah!
Well, with that being the case, that concludes the 399 sub celebration. I'm Petey York. We will see you January 9th. No, I'm just
The
kidding.
after party, however, begins in 30 seconds.
Welcome to the now 400 subscribers. That's right, we've hit it. The big 400. Thanks to the Comic Relief Crusader. Welcome. Thanks for making this stream awesome.
Told you, Amazon, we're worth the $400.
Yeah, no, this is what people need to realize. We have 400 real people. Like, this is not. We don't inflate our numbers. I'm not saying that anybody does that. How would I know that? The point is, we are honest, quality human content, and we are always going to be honest, quality human content. Does that mean that AI art isn't allowed here? Of course it is, but the AI art has to still be made by a human. Technically, digital art is a form of AI art. That's why I'm not really worried about these algorithms making the process faster. If anything, it's just giving people an easier way to express what's in their mind. Because not everybody can use Microsoft Paint competently to build such incredible thumbnails that we have here on the Writer Brothers. So, but anyway, that's enough about the channel. We are going to, Daniel Lark says I could unsub and make it $3.99 again. Hey,
you know what? I'd appreciate it if you didn't. The 400 party sounds a way better than the 399 party.
Yeah, that $3.99 makes us sound like a dollar store. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the pop culture news. If you are not on Twitter, which if you're not, that's probably for the best. You may have heard some news regarding Mr. Jonathan Majors. Yes. Who played Kang in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. No sense in saying a title specifically. It's just he's in the Marvel.
Kang did it.
Exactly. Well, it looks like after this
supposed to be named?
What?
Isn't he not supposed to be named, or the one that remains?
Yeah, he was in the
does
Loki
not
series, the one who remains.
He no longer remains. That's the problem.
Yeah,
He's
the
fired.
man who no longer is employed.
He no longer remains.
Kang did it.
All of the Jonathan Majors Kang variants will soon be pruned, and there'll probably be a Loki Christmas special.
Low key.
Oh, I see what you did there. But yeah, look, honestly, this really does screw up Marvel's storytelling for this entire phase. This entire phase has been all about building to a Kang movie, where Kang is facing off against the Avengers, and I don't think that plan's going to work out so well anymore.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get a female Kang variant now. I mean, wouldn't that just be...
How did South Park put it?
Yeah, put a chicken in it, make it lame.
Yep.
Let's catch up on some more comments here. Yeah, Comic Relief Crusader says, but $3.99 is such a great deal. That's exactly right, because for some reason we think in our brains that $3.99 is somehow cheaper than $4, and technically that's correct, but that's it.
Yep.
So, Nemesis of Eden says Kang versus Captain Marvel. I mean, Marvel's needs all the publicity it can get right now.
So what, villain versus villain?
it's like, I don't even, that's just it though. I don't even see Kang as like the bad guy per se. I mean, he was,
Right?
but also wasn't. Like there was a lot of that Loki show really makes you do a lot of thinking with your brain meat or with your head
Which is
meat.
the hardest part
Skull
because
meat.
Kang,
It's called skull meat.
well, so like Kang isn't technically a bad guy because they're putting so much effort into misdirect because they introduced him way too early.
Yeah.
Like, it's really bad writing, and it always has been. And like all of the historic fluff, like for all the other Avengers movies, there was a new Iron Man or a new Thor or a new something or other to hold us over and make us forget Thanos was the looming threat, and also make us kind of wonder what the end credit scene was going to tell us about Thanos during this time. But this one has been like, no, Kang is actually one of the main bad guys of Loki, while also being the main good guy of Loki, while also being one of his supplemental characters on the team ensemble, while also obviously being the bad guy.
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of pieces to Kang, and the neat thing about him, of course, was that there were all these variants of Kang that were potentially going to be popping up.
But
So-
we've never met one.
Right. So, I mean, the potential was there for a decent story. But, they picked the wrong guy to play this character, right? I mean, Disney, it's called vetting. Like, you got to do a little.
Well, no, dude, it's called managers. Like, you're managing. Your actors are not necessarily going to be riding high on Disney money and continue to be Disney princesses. See all of the Disney kids, all of
Yep.
the Nickelodeon kids.
Well,
Like-
there's like a whole other
that's-
thing into that, but
I mean, at this point, like, if you're gonna put a bunch of money into somebody, you should recognize that money buys drugs. And if you're not going to teach people about doing drugs and how it's actually dangerous, but there's also a responsibility to yourself, not just the world around you, but like not just drugs, but your own personal character. It does matter, especially in modern day. I've grown up my whole life knowing that your reputation is important. But like now with social media, it's not just your reputation, it's every single action. And that's the most obvious thing ever. Like when you're getting paid this money, part of the cost is being good.
yeah. All right, why don't we go ahead and switch gears now, of course, to Corione, and then we'll touch on the last piece. Or no, do you want to stay? Or are we staying angry? Then we'll talk. All right, we'll stay angry for now. Oh, sorry, Ishmael.
Oh no, okay. If you want the other one up, I mean, I'm willing to rant. I've got my
Rant about Hasbro.
This one has
I've
got my
a-
rant
I got a
ready
couple
for
of competent showrunner stuff to do in the background. So
here we go. Okay,
yeah.
boys and girls.
Oh,
just
hold
for-
on. I'm sorry. Let me set you up. Let me do. This is
Oh, please.
this so that everybody knows what's going on, because I got to drive the ship a little more efficiently here.
course,
So
of course.
to introduce
By all means.
to introduce the executive officer of the ship, of course, Mr. Corione, Witch Residence, Hasbro. If you guys don't know me, you might be aware that I kind of like Star Trek just a little bit. I got this new mug recently. Very happy with it. It's awesome. Even christening it by drinking something blue. And what Star Trek is to me is basically what Transformers, for example, is to Corione. And that's why this is very important to him. So while I competently do a couple of things in the background, I'm just going to let Corione explain why Hasbro continues to just be a functioning dumpster fire at this point.
They hired Scrooge McDuck.
So Hasbro, or Rome burning in corporation form, decided just a few days before Christmas, when everybody was getting ready to receive their normal annual Hasbro Christmas bonus, to fire 1,000 employees across the board, a lot of them coming from the Wizards of the Coast or D&D side of the equation. Now, Now the question becomes, why did Hasbro do this first? The answer is pretty straightforward. Hasbro has been making terrible, terrible toys for a while now. The quality of Transformers, of the G.I. Joe, of a bunch of the other ones has gone dramatically down. One of the things that they did was they moved away from any plastic in their packaging, which included the window to confirm what figure you were actually buying. Instead, they did these beautiful art pieces that were AI generated and cost them nothing. The problem was a lot of people would buy the figure, put in a junk figure, and return it to the store. So you never were actually sure whether you were getting what you were supposed to be getting. So, buying figures for your collection turned into a gotcha game. And so a lot of people stopped buying from that point.
Isn't that why they had to put the plastic faces on it originally?
Yes. Yes, it was.
This, I feel like something that's being completely overlooked is the thing that majority of humans are feeling right now. None of us have money.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's going to be a reduction in sales just because the lower class is the largest class in America now.
Right. So, but
and
wait.
More.
But wait, it gets worse. So, because of how terrible it is, Hasbro is now shutting down large swaths of their toy making department and actually farming it out to McFarlane Toys.
Oh.
So they've now entered a licensing deal with McFarlane Toys. So I guess we can expect a lot higher quality artistic side of things, but that's not going to arrange it so that kids are still interested in buying these figures. They're just going to be high-end collectibles now. And McFarlane stuff always has been a much higher price point than anything Hasbro's put out.
Well, it's because it's what I just said. The upper class are the only people with disposable incomes these days.
Right.
Literally nobody, everybody that used to use Hasbro as their this is what I get for the cousins. Nobody can afford that anymore. Nobody's getting gifts for the cousins. Everybody's barely making it to the tree in their own house.
That's it.
And Hasbro is just well, let's make things worse and be bougie.
But wait, it gets worse. Remember how I was telling you guys that the cuts really hit Wizards of the Coast hard? Well, D&D sales have had a bit of a problem. You see, since they tried to pull the OGL shenanigans, you can see my rant video on my channel about that one. It turns out that since that's happened and the movie tanked at the box office, that they've decided to fire some of the principal writers for D&D. So now if they want to make new D&D product, they're going to have to figure out how they're going to pull that off without the writers that have been shepherding it forward since I really started to play in earnest.
So the executives that flopped D&D into the flops that you just cited, they're still there. But the guys...
Chris Cox, the guy who organized all of this, who decided that D&D was under-monetized and they needed to figure out ways to suck more money out of players, got a $2 million bonus this year.
You can't call it negligence when it's that corrupt.
No, you can call it theft. Right?
You don't even call it theft because literally it is the most self-inflicted corporate wound you can do. It's not even illegal embezzlement. It is just horrible policy. The most short-sighted, short-term, negligent, just you have to be the oldest curmudgeon Scrooge McDuck to fire 1,000 people and give this idiot $2 million. The dumbest person in charge. You are literally you deserve the cancer your company got.
So there's
Like,
two more
at this
points.
point, you are literally giving, like, this is the corporate version of heroin. You're paying the guy that screwed you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then asking
Hold on.
him
There's two more
to
points I do want to bring up.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, the Comic Relief Crusader is also a avid Transformers fan. Says
nice.
that they live and breathe Transformers. It didn't help that they made the last Transformers woke as hell.
Yeah,
you
it
agree with
certainly
that?
didn't.
Okay.
Look, the Michael Bay era Transformers movies have been abysmal, and they've
Except for the first
only
one.
gotten worse.
The first one
No.
was amazing, but yeah.
I'll disagree.
It's a passable action movie that does. Which we'll review.
As long
it
as
this
you're
year.
not a fan
I'm
of
gonna
stuff
throw the birthday
it's
card on you,
a
and we're gonna
terrible
do it
movie.
for
Ever since we
in
started-
April.
Ever since we started analyzing movies with actual like effort, I've watched Transformers like 3 times in the last 2 years we've been doing this podcast. It sucks. Horrible. So pretty. I stand by it is one of the prettiest CGI films ever. It's the best
dude.
combo of
It
human.
looks like metal monkeys battling it out, man. The CGI is impossible to
The
follow.
fights don't. I'm not
We're-
talking about the fights. I'm talking about the transforms and the robots as themselves. Like
The first one's fights were decent. The second one, you
I-
couldn't
and I
tell what was
love
going
the
on and
car.
sucked bad. The third one, you could actually tell what was happening, and it was a decent movie overall. And that's where I stopped watching. I didn't care after that. So
I actually walked into the
But-
theater on the third one.
yeah,
the
Armada
Marvel
is my
ones,
favorite.
They got
so
the fighting
my favorite
back
series,
in,
personally.
but it's so much more like morph suits
Yeah.
superimposed, and it's like, okay, I don't like that. Like I
And-
like the idea of just robots clashing and basically wrestling and shooting each other. Explosions
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
And for
Now
the
it's
record,
a
I am a
UFC
G1
robot.
kid, but PD, I absolutely do respect Armada and the whole Armada, like the whole Energon.
Oh,
trilogy.
and you know me, like I love DS9, but TOS.
Yeah,
TOS,
same
which
idea.
is represented on my background here.
Nemesis of Eden says the 3D Beast Wars from the 90s look better. And that
Oh,
was a
God, yeah.
TV show.
It's true.
All right,
I have to
but-
agree with that.
but so let me
So-
finish on the beatdown of Hasbro here. One of the other pieces that has come to light is one of the companies that was attempting to resurrect Magic the Gathering tournament play because Wizards of the Coast decided for some reason that, after being found out for employing adults who like spending inappropriate time with kids, I think is going to be the YouTube friendly term. They were hiring them as referees for tournament play. A third party was actually getting involved in trying to recreate the tournament scene for Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast shut them down because, quote, their tournaments were too white to be allowed to continue.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say to that.
Right? Now,
all right, let's
the last piece of this is there are rumors floating around right now, though, that there might be hope for Dungeons and Dragons. Because there's rumors that it's being packaged for sale.
Yeah. Well, that could work. Comic Relief Crusader says Bayformers are nuts and bolts put in a blender and put on tape.
Yes!
I mean, I won't totally argue that point. That's
Just
not entirely
spinning
wrong.
and twisting
I like
parts
I like
that
the
just
first
don't
and
make
third.
any sense at all. You're like,
Yeah, I like the first and third Bayformers movies, and then when Mark Wahlberg showed up, that one was just talk about time wasted.
no, those ones were actually cohesive storylines that actually made sense if you delete everything else, but you can't have anything else because all of the like characters they continued on
Yeah.
that weren't Mark Wahlberg needed to maintain it. So it's like that's what makes it just a junk series. But I love the prettiest. To this day, I still think it's the prettiest robots yet.
Now,
Yeah.
I will. I am going to shout out one thing for Comic Book Crusader, because if he is a comic book fan and a Transformers fan, he should know that the new Transformers Energon series of comic books, I've been reading it so far, and it has been absolutely fantastic. So if he gets a
Sick.
chance, he should pick up the series.
Says I got scale
it called?
posters for sale for all generations. if you want Comic Relief Crusader, we do take business inquiries on our email, thewriterbrothers@gmail.com. Oh, and I should probably also put up the fact that we can now be followed. So if you like the Writer Brothers, but you want less of my BS, and you just want the Writer Brothers BS by itself, please consider reaching out to us on Twitter @the Writer Bros. It's got the logo that you see displayed behind John, and on both sides of his head there, he's got both his good and bad angels are represented by the Writer Brothers. That's probably a bad thing. But all right, well, yeah, I mean, can't really we'll talk. We're open to making deals that are fair.
Yeah.
And if we like what you got and we like you, we'll just share your stuff to give you free ad space. We don't care. We like sharing our friends, and our subs are our friends.
That does not count as a promise. Anyway, so before we get too carried away and giving away our ad space, let's get to what everybody, the second best thing that everybody came for. That's time for our participation in the new artistic nudity. And since, the holidays are up, of course, I got to do a holiday strip. And
I definitely think he means autistic nudity.
Oh, jeez.
Well, John, I don't know if you know, but Twitch actually did a demo, like a test for one day of
There we go.
allowing artistic nudity on the site. And it turned into a whole lot of
That's all you get.
furry nudity, shall we say.
Yeah, I couldn't find any. Not that I was active. I mean, I was actively looking out of curiosity, but I was
okay there.
But I didn't. But nothing. It was all the same stuff. Hot tub streams, and that's already there. And I'm just like, all right. Okay. Oh, I still gotta change the poster background. So.
I don't understand what they expected. Like. Nobody's ready for nudity in terms of hey, we're gonna do a test. Do you know who wants to test your test? Very few, especially very few artistic nudists. The number of people that are willing to test that, the first adapters in advertising terminology is they're the same guy that says "hold my beer" to everything.
Yeah. So Daniel Larson says, "Shall there be any Reacher discussion tonight, gents? I don't need to be so, but I love the show." Yes and no.
I agree with you, man.
Okay. Yes and no. We are going to have a release schedule for when we discuss Reacher, starting when we get fire back up January 9th. However, after our Godzilla discussion, John will tease the Reacher Season 2 discussion a little bit at the end of the show, talking and hyping it up, and then, of course, we will get back to that after our break. But stick around, Daniel Larson. We are doing Godzilla for sure. However, we did want to get our Christmas cheer on. That's why I, had this on underneath to spare you all, blinding you. You're welcome. And we are now going to discuss our Christmas movies. This year, it's a little, like I said, this year was a bit of a weird year. Going into year 3, we're going to have an October plan. We're going to have an even November plan. We're going to have a December plan. But this year...
Crusader says, "Gotta go, bro. Later, awesome show. Damn, missing out on the show. Damn."
Out on the strip show. No, that was it. You just saw it. You saw the strip show.
That was the whole strip show.
But thanks for popping in. We'll catch up with you later. And see you when we see you.
Daniel Larson for the banger. Want to deck some balls or halls?
Yes, exactly. So it's time to take a trip on the nostalgia train, which is actually funny because Godzilla Minus One is part of that nostalgia train.
It's 100%. Yeah.
We'll get into it. But let's start with now Christmas Vacation. Corione, you actually put out a solo vid about this. This is why I was like, all right, I'll pick this one and Violent Night for our Christmas movies. And then we were going to do something else, but then we had to do Godzilla. Which I'm glad we did. Holy crap, am I glad we did Godzilla. Anyway, sorry to tease the Godzilla some more. So could you tell us why you like Christmas Vacation, why it's one of your top Christmas movies? Oh, and also, good night, Nemesis of Eden. Good to see you. And yes, let us know what you think about the Godzilla discussion later.
Yeah. So, look, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation has always kind of held a weird spot in my heart. When I was a kid, I wasn't really allowed to watch it in my house. I had a very, very weird, hardcore Christian family that was like, no, this is not good.
Same.
But when I hit high school, it actually they played it in like our school theater, to raise money. So I went and watched it, and I probably spent 2.5 hours just straight laughing because of this movie. It was so good. It was one of those shows that hit at the right time for me when my level of humor was just appropriately juvenile for this movie. And one of the things about it is, like, you can make the arguments for other movies that they're not really about, I guess you want to call it, like, they're Christmas movies, but the point behind the movie is still kind of flawed. Look,
They're superficially Christmas movies.
that's it, right? This is actually, in my opinion, one of the deepest Christmas movies that you get. Okay? Because at the end of the day, all the dad is trying to do is have a perfect Christmas for his family, right? And all everyone else in the family is trying to do is make the perfect Christmas for everyone else. But since everybody's idea of what that looks like is different, they all come together in hilarious conflagrations
I kind of
of madness.
Right.
And
I
it's
think
great.
even deeper than that. I think this is one of the most, like, the deepest.
Well, I just want to say, I just want to
Christmas.
talk over you, John, real
Yeah.
quick, and say that that I did like what was it, Aunt Bertha or whatever.
Tragedy. No.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I
the-
kind
the,
of like
like,
turning
grandma or
Christmas. Yeah,
whatever?
turning Christmas into another 4th of July. You know what? I kind of look at this. Look at this
Randy
style.
Quaid like stands up at this.
We got holidays, we got Trek, and we got freedom. Like,
He's just all awkward. He's like, we're gonna stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh man, it was,
I don't know. I
Add
kind
the
of like.
turkey.
I've
Guys,
never
it's
seen this
turkey.
movie before, by the way. This was the first time I actually saw this movie.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
And I actually watched it before we said we were going to watch it for the show for the first time.
This is a pride and joy.
It's
great.
It's not.
It's a Christmas vacation miracle.
But not for me. I think this is like
Pride
the
and
deepest family Christmas movie that there is, because you had part of the family being like puritanical,
Well,
Christian religious about Christmas. You had part of the family barely making it to family Christmas.
yep.
And then you had the host of the family trying to give his kids what his dad gave him, only to realize that his dad was drunk. And
Yeah.
that's why he thought that his dad was having such a good time, because he was. Because this shit is stressful.
I think
And-
my
and-
favorite scene
like
is
the-
when they're in the grocery store and they have 3 big bags of dog food. Boom! And then Clark's just like got that little cardboard box. He's like, boom!
And then on top of it, to just realize that like all of the expectations he just set for his kids now,
Yep.
to start the circle all over again. But also part of the expectations he set is that the family that barely made it, he still tried to give them Christmas.
That's
The
it.
family that like was always too stressful to ever hang out with, that he was always groaning about their arrival, he still gave them a good Christmas too. So it's like the deepest in terms of, yeah, it's stressful for the parents so that it's the best thing ever for the kids, so that they grow up and give it right back to their kids for that's what it's worth.
Exactly.
And
Okay,
I
no.
love
I've got the one that like makes everyone laugh, and that's the tobogganing scene.
Oh, jeez.
The special effects were they were low budget perfection, because like he coats that in the super spray and puts it down and sits down and cut to like a flame trail behind him. It was perfect.
It was the perfect. It's weird because it was like legitimately like an homage to what's that one, Back to the Future, but like watching it in modern day, it feels like what's the word that we've been having a lot of, the member berries?
Oh, no.
Like it kind of feels like, don't you guys remember Back to the Future too? And I'm like, oh god, I should watch that now. After seeing that scene, which is what it kind of was trying to say, is what made that scene like just the full.
Wait, we've been burdening our pop culture with nostalgia porn since day one? No way.
Well, no, that's the difference, because that's not nostalgia. Those two movies were basically the same year. So that's homage and honoring quality and respecting the CGI that versus like what we have today, which is like, hey, we're gonna take what you love.
It's a nod.
Yeah, exactly. A nod. Like, hey, I saw that. I like that.
I like that in your movie, so I did it in mine.
Or when he finally gets the lighting to work.
Juliette Lewis in the credits watching, I was like, what?
Yeah, Julia.
And then it opened in the opening. I was like, no way. She's
the neighbor. Yeah.
No, Juliette Lewis was their daughter. I was like, what?
Yeah, and Julia Dreyfus was the neighbor.
Yeah, it was the neighbor. That was funny.
All the kids
from the street.
All of those kids, aren't they like big now? Not just the daughter. I feel like all of them. Like we watched.
Daniel Larson says seeing Leonard Hofstadter as a little baby was fun. Yeah. So John,
exactly.
I seen the name in the intro when I was gonna watch.
From the nerd face show Big Bang Theory, which I cannot recommend enough. If you want to watch a stereotype, watch the Big Bang Theory. If you want to watch something that's actually funny and nerdy, watch Mythic Quest.
Well, what I would argue is the first couple of seasons we were laughing with the characters. After that point, we were. It was
It was like the first couple of seasons there shows some promise, but after that, it was all stereotypical. And then it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna make Howard being a creep on women, totally hilarious, and then we're gonna reward that behavior, and it's just like this defeats the purpose of television. Like you're just
you're
just putting sludge back out there.
The first 3 seasons was awkward, nerdy character growth.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it was all right.
I wouldn't even call it growth. Yeah, exactly. It was barely even growth. It was like we're gonna grow into we're just gonna end up being toxic the rest of the time. It's like that's not.
Leonard actually got over his biggest fear, which was talking to his hot neighbor, so much so that they all became friends. That's growth. It's one of the hardest things for most people to figure out how to do, which is make good, honest friendships with the opposite sex.
And just friendships in general. Let's be real.
Their knees in. And that's the hardest part about continuing a series with no end. And you can do it. See SNL, see New Girl, they did a pretty great job of it until their cast just got worn out. And that's also what you can do. You can wear your cast out. But killing their character after you did so much and showing how much they've actually started to become aware of their stance in the universe. Not just 3 nerds that have never actually interacted with an attractive female, let alone any female. It's obnoxious, but then to just leave them there is rude.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're very toxic and irritable people that deserve to be as alone as they really are in real life. And it's like, but that's just it. That's an unintentional interpretation of the art, and that's why I think that, in my opinion, the show is it's terrible. I mean, you could do a case, you could do a literary study on it. Like I said, that's why I'm glad we have Star Trek Discovery.
You take the laugh track out of most shows, and you realize how dry everything is, and awkward, and mostly rude. I think Always Sunny did it the very best, where they put a laugh track over the 2 moms living together, and they're like, yeah, guys, look, it looks horrible, but watch, let me add this. Now it's funny that she's trying to set her on fire.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think
because we gave you a mob to laugh.
I think Big Bang Theory lives up to the adage of, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the bad guy.
Yeah, right? but then it's like, all right, so Daniel Larson says, oh, come on, I cried when Sheldon gave his Nobel acceptance speech. Okay, not really, but I enjoyed my stereotype McDonald's junk food every season, and that's fine. That's fine
That's-
if you you know,
Yeah.
that's an honest response to that's like me, you know.
I like Vampire Diaries. I like a lot of CW shows. Trust me, I've got my McDonald's. In the
Honestly, if
entertainment
this
industry as
Godzilla
well.
movie that we saw was like one step above the 1999 version or whatever, that would have been acceptable. But it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, like, and to respond to, like, dude, I watch Bar Rescue. Like, you know, if that isn't like, you know, reality TV, like junk food, I don't know what is.
Yeah. But any
The
final
notion-
word? Any final words with Christmas Vacation before we move on to Violent Night? Because I mean, I didn't hate it, but it definitely, as far as Christmas movies go, I don't know if it's something I'd watch often. Maybe every couple of Christmases, but it's
I
it's
think
not
this
like
isn't every
Christmas
2 or
Story
3
for me.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it watching it today more than I thought I was going to. I was kind of dreading going into it, and then I was
Although
like,
I'm gonna be honest,
this is funnier than I remembered.
I think if we're gonna, speaking of, you know, honest conversations about shows, and of course I'm gonna throw the meta switch into overdrive. You know, I kind of think of it. I think part of the reason that I do find content better than it is because of this show now. Because now I'm forced to look at it with a critical eye, and I have to accept that, okay, this technically ticks off the boxes of a good movie, but I hate it.
Yes.
So...
No, look. And I mean, like, you know, I used to be able to go to a movie and just watch a movie. Now I go to a movie with a clipboard and a pen, right? Like, that's just how it is.
exactly.
That's so funny. I have always mentally gone with a clipboard and a pen because, like, for me, it took me a long time to learn like what the actual metrics of good to the universe were, because there are societal metrics of what makes a good film, like, you know, plot and storyline and character development and all the things we talk about. But like, I've always just liked action, noble, heroic, and very visually awe-inspiring. Those have been the main things that I know in film. So I've always had a critical eye for what I consider good. And now I'm like, okay, now I got to go back through everything with a red pen and start updating my grammar skills in the entertainment industry. And in that essence, like, that's what I really love about, like we were just like with Daniel Larson's comment about he actually enjoyed it as McDonald's junk food. It's like, yeah, that's all we're really trying to point out. Which ones are junk food?
Reminds me
here to
of
tell
like
you
watch
which
movies
ones
with a group of people, right? And everybody be just like enthralled in these movies, and me and my buddy Cole would just be like, just like rip it to shreds. Didn't seem to matter what it was. Just the whole time, just the critical eye, just sitting there like.
That's my favorite thing, because like I got really into going to the movies in the Marines because it was just one of the cheapest things to do. And in that instance, like, I went with my friends and we all went drunk, and everybody in the theater was drunk. So the whole time, like, you would think you were going to go into a casual theater, and if you were smart, you didn't believe that. And so, because everybody was talking, like, anything happened. I watched the midnight premiere of Force Awakens of every Star Wars. I watched 2 of them in Okinawa and 1 of them in North Carolina. And the 2 in Okinawa, all of us were talking the whole movie from start to finish. Like, oh my God, I love this. It's Star Wars. Well, who is this guy? Like, when people started coming out with the comment threads, I was like, yeah, that's how we watched the midnight premiere. Did not everybody have these questions? And so for me, this, like, that's what I like about National Lampoon, is because, like, this one made my movie list, even though it's visually gross in terms of quality of graphics, quality of like camera. I can't stand the film.
It's dated, man.
Exactly.
It is dated.
But the writing isn't.
Yeah.
And that's part of my critique now because of our show, is adding that, like,
Yeah, like, have you guys
can,
noticed that, like,
this for any reason, and in some cases it's just the words that they say and nothing that you see.
yeah, like, have you guys noticed that the prettier it gets, it seems like the worse the writing gets now?
It's it seems that seems to be, oh, it's got great visuals. I don't care. That's why I say it's like, I'm sorry, I don't care how much you work into it. Your hard work at pretty visuals doesn't erase bad writing. Daniel Larson says, I love Santa Claus too, but it gets dumber every year. My critical eye spares no nostalgia. See, and I can actually attest to that as well, because I used to like Star Trek Into Darkness. I made all the excuses for it when it first came out. It seemed like a love letter to Khan, but also had a lot of cool clips. Well, here's the thing. You take the cool clips out of it that I can just watch on YouTube and only spend like 5 to 10 minutes, you know, enjoying those shots of the Enterprise coming out of the water and, you know, getting your ass kicked, all that stuff. I can relive those in a matter of minutes on either YouTube or even just download the clips myself, instead of having to sit through this entire garbage movie that I can no longer enjoy. Like the last time that H. Marie and I went through the Kelvin movies, I was like, nope. Anytime I do that, it's just going to be 2009 and beyond, which are both I both think are fantastic films on their own, but also as a Star Trek universe, it showed what could be done and maybe what should be done, because what For All Mankind shows us is that multiverse storytelling, alternate history, it can work if you do it right. But
if you own
I mean,
it,
look,
and you
it's
just
the only
embrace
thing I
it
ask.
and you take the licks, like that's what For All Mankind would have gotten if Apple was more like boisterous with their advertising. But because of their lack of advertising, when you walk into that show, you're like, maybe. And then when you walk out 4 seasons later, you're like, come on, win season 5. With every Apple show, it doesn't matter how you walk into it, when you walk into it, you keep hitting play on the next episode, and they don't talk about it, and then they have no beef because they just let their writers write and then let their directors direct.
Daniel Larson says Daniel Larson in with the freaking nuclear weapon, with the Godzilla nuclear beam breath of death.
Heat ray.
He says AI art will do the job of cool clips by which Hollywood used to bribe us into their crappy films. Brah. Not wrong there. Says that's why they hate AI. Well, close. I would say they hate AI when it's being manipulated by creatives. If creatives use AI, yeah, we can just start cranking our own films out of our bedrooms. But if, that's why Hollywood can't replace creative. Hollywood has been trying to replace creatives basically since day one. That's his job. Because they want business to just crank out money and consumers to consume product. That's why they push this woke garbage, so that they can just say, oh, you don't like it? Oh, you just must be a fragile white man who just, has too much insecurity. And it's like, no, the story's bad and your characters are bad, and you're an idiot for thinking that this was ever going to be good. And so...
Well, hey, you know what breaks for me that whole narrative? You know what my number one complaint about Into Darkness is? And it's really, really simple. Khan Noonien Singh is supposed to be in every piece of lore and written information we have about the guy is supposed to be Indian. I could kind of buy Ricardo Montalban based on his, just power and gravitas of personality. But I can't get behind
that blatantly British lanky dude.
Yeah,
it's
I
terrible.
love Skinnerbig Snaggerbatch, but not as Khan.
Not in this role.
No,
not as somebody named Singh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I give up at that point. Like, I throw my hands up.
So many nerds.
Agent DBK, good to see you. Writes in and says, love me some For All Mankind, but Criff, they get some of the science wrong. Yeah, so after about season 2 is when it was season 2 is where we crossed the line from like hard sci-fi to science fantasy. Which I knew was going to happen, because that's what Ronald D. Moore does. He's not as practical a sci-fi writer as he tries to pretend to be. He is a fantasy
So
writer.
that in terms of, I just, because I asked DBK this, and I actually want to posit this to you guys, because part of me is like, isn't that him trying to dumb himself to 1970s science? And with each season, it's their version of progression. And like, obviously it's going to get a little wonky, but like, how much of our science is retroactive?
Well, and that's
like,
just
we've
it.
done
With
a
it
bunch of
being
things and then realized what we did, but what got us there was nowhere near what we said was going to get us there.
Yeah, and I started to notice some of that too, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, this could also be like an entirely different timeline in that the physics themselves have changed because of the divergence. I mean, there's just, and I know that's a very like out there
Which part, though?
band-aid
Which side is-
solution.
Which ones are they getting wrong? I don't understand which ones they're getting.
Oh yeah, I mean, if Agent DBK, if you don't mind just listing a couple of the gripes, because I mean, I'm some of it, I think I know some of the spatial drifts and some of the collision physics were a little bit like dramatized, and I think even I don't think that. I mean, I think the duct tape thing running out into the moon without a suit was a bit more like I don't think you would make it 15 seconds. I think you'd probably be dead instantly.
There's also the piece of a lot of the characters would have died of radiation poisoning, having spent that much time in space.
Yeah, Molly Cobb making it to the 90s so she can die heroic loudly now. I was like,
yeah, no, Molly would have been dead
she
on
just
the
went
station.
blind. Yeah.
Plot science, I always forgive. I just care about, like, I thought you were saying, like, the stuff they're trying to write down, and the part that, like, makes the journey impossible is like, nah, it's bullshit. They could have easily done that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I thought you were saying is fake. If it's plot based,
some of it could be done with just a little bit of update. But...
All right, here we go. Agent DPK says, no, it's not about what they didn't know at the time. It's about basic physics. Sometimes like what happens when a spinning object in space has one rotational thruster stuck on. Well, that's like I said, season 3 is where we just have a bit more drama anyway. So
yeah, and that's what I do mean by the plot stuff. Like, I gotta just let it go.
Right, I had forgotten about that because it angered me. Anyway,
I watched an episode today. This is episode 5. I'm way behind. I'm trying.
You got 2 weeks.
I'm trying to get there.
And we're actually gonna.
But yeah, I don't remember exactly what the detail, but something sciencey and physics definitely made me go.
Yeah, no, it's still a TV show. It's still, and that's why Daniel Larson says, "Yeah, seriously, for all mankind, you need to go learn from Star Trek for science realism." Well, you know, Ronald D. Moore is a veteran Star Trek writer.
Mm-hmm.
And so
my main thing is like when you try to actually like think about space, like unless you're listening to astronauts, it's wonky.
Yeah. Anyway, this brief for all mankind discussion will now transit to the Violent Night, the honestly for me one and done Christmas
American Christmas movie I've ever seen.
This was, you know, one of those movies that I'm good to only watch once.
This to me feels like what happens when you turn the Christmas up in Die Hard.
Yeah. Agent DBK says, having lived 2 decades in the literal shadow of the VAB at KSC, seeing them go dumb with basic science hurts. I
get that.
I'm you're not gonna get any argument from me on that.
Yeah.
Speaking of dumb science, Violent Night relies on magic. And that's it. And you know, that's the part of the movie that I actually did like, was that he's like, even he didn't understand it. And it was an interesting plot twist. Spoilers for those who haven't seen this Christmas movie that's been out for over a year now, and is available to stream on Prime for a Prime subscription. Shout out to Amazon Prime, our future overlords. Not really.
Well, I mean, they will be the new China.
Yeah, no, I think if you like Die Hard and you're looking for a Die Hard Christmas movie, this is your movie. If you know, and
if your kids have made you watch Santa Claus 1, 2, and 3 since December 1, this is your movie.
Right, it's time to get back at them.
That's why I love this movie. This is the perfect. All right, and the kids are down. Santa Claus needs to kill people, or we're not believing in him next year.
It had some pretty good one-liners. I mean, it was definitely a homage to the 80s action movie, but with Santa Claus and Santa magic, and so
honestly, I thought this was a cross between John Wick and Tim Allen's Santa Claus.
I think that was I think that was the pitch meeting. What you got there for me? John Wick and Tim Allen's Santa Claus. Done. You're greenlit.
Yeah.
$100 million.
Well, no, wait.
That's-
Oh, who do you got playing him? David Harbour? All right, yeah, green.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we can get him cheap enough. Let's do it.
Let's be honest. They tapped Ron Perlman first. He laughed and said, get effed, and then
If Ron Perlman had done this movie, it would have made $1 million.
it would have been. Yeah, so
In
they had to go with
seconds.
discount Ron Perlman. Shout out to David Harbour standing in the shadow of greatness.
Hey man, do not diss Dollar General Ron Perlman, okay? Like,
Is it just me, or did Sons of Anarchy not kill Ron Perlman for any of you guys?
I didn't watch
Man.
Sons of Anarchy, and so
No,
Ron
no,
Perlman
no.
to me is
I-
Hellboy.
I-
That's
I-
why I'd rather.
no, guys.
Guys.
All I can say is this: Amazon Prime is putting together a Fallout TV series. If Ron Perlman does not do the intro to that series,
no.
it will not work.
Yeah. And
Because
David
he
Harbour,
is the voice of
if
Fallout.
you see this, you may call me one time. You may call me a 39-cent. Well, I'm not gonna say the guy's name on this channel, but you know who I'm talking about. Imitates my beard.
Fair
Anyway,
enough. Fair enough.
yeah, that's tit for tat. I can take it as much as I can dish it, believe it or not. But I meant to go back. We had to go back to Christmas Vacation real quick because we totally forgot to give H. Marie her 2 seconds in the sun.
Oh,
to
go
say
for
something.
it, by all means.
So, H. Marie, what did you think of Christmas Vacation? Then we'll go back to Violent Night.
Everybody can hear me, I'm hoping.
Yep, we're
Yeah.
good.
Walk away with my headphone. I haven't seen Christmas Vacation in a really, really long time, and I didn't know Petey hadn't seen it. And we actually ended up trying to watch it, and I think we got to the cat scene, and I think we ended up kind of just. So you know, you have fried cat on the bottom of the chair. Makes me happy that I don't have Christmas lights out right now. I got a cable chewer myself, so.
Yeah, I almost thought we were watching a Christmas or a Simpsons episode with how much animal cruelty was taking place.
Oh man.
All right. Thanks for that, H. Marie. Now let's go ahead and get your thoughts on Violent Night.
Yeah, one and done for me. This was a ridiculously bloody, wholesome movie. I was not expecting it to have, Christmas magic, wholesomeness to it, while these guys are quite literally getting murdered by Santa. So I'm good, and yay for Christmas magic.
Oh,
Oh,
well
man.
said, H. Marie. Thanks for your for your input. Yeah, guys. So, what do you think? It's just
I
violently
think this
wholesome.
movie- yeah, I think this is definitely one of those movies that, it fits neatly into like, the Disney movies that they've been re-releasing as like horror movies,
There you go.
like the Winnie the Pooh
yeah.
slasher film.
I like
I
those
feel like-
horror artists that color in coloring books and.
Yeah, like I 100% feel like this fits neatly into that genre.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely Santa Claus by Edgar Allan Poe, without a doubt. It's like I said, it's got an audience, obviously, and no,
yeah.
David Harbour was fantastic. Actually, I think
This one's definitely in my Christmas list too, because like I think it's the funniest in terms of just it is, like I said, it's the answer to all of this Christmas bullshit.
yeah,
Like, I've never been one for holidays, so like I don't like always doing all the Christmas stuff. But now that I've got
Yeah.
a kid, I'm like, okay, let's do Christmas Vacation, Dad.
all right,
Do it for the kids.
Yeah.
And that's where Violent Night is just the
Yeah.
funniest in
It-
terms of like a gift to me.
It's that adorable palate cleanser from having to listen to too much Mariah Carey at this time of year, right?
yeah, exactly. Which I still have somehow managed to avoid that song this year. We'll see if I get a perfect game. We'll see. But moving on now to our video game news. If you were here last week, we got into a discussion talking about the just somber and heartfelt failure that was the game the day before. And these developers really tried to put out a product for fans that was going to be good, and they really you're ruining the bit.
I think you need to respect them a little bit more, because not only did they try to put out a product, but they tried to invest in other people's products to then pass off as their own product.
It truly is a sad day for gaming history. Yeah. So if you were here at last week's discussion, you will know that we mentioned the scam before. Well, in the days that followed, more information started coming out about this, and we do need to have a follow-up discussion about this, because we are gamers, all of us here, believe it or not. We do play video games on occasion on this network. And here's the thing. We don't hate AAA games. We hate what a lot of AAA games have done. But we also, I in particular, excuse me while I burp very slowly and subtly, have appreciated that the turnaround and the course corrections that have taken place at 343 Industries, in particular with Halo Infinite. And I would like to see more of that from our AAA studios and our big game studios, because I think that the market can always have different size studios and different products for different people, and different that's what I've absolutely enjoyed about growing up this day and age, and even, you know, living in this era. You Zoomers have it so good with video games. Like, I mean, I got to grow up in the golden age of Star Wars gaming, sure, but you guys have all the choices that we could have only dreamed of having.
Yeah, the concept of an open world game was such a foreign concept.
It was like, oh, you mean like Grand Theft Auto? And then it was like, and then Simpsons did their version of it, which, you talk about a game that needs a remake. But the thing about it is, when game development fraudsters come along to try and make a bunch of money out of investors, that is very bad for the gaming market overall. And so we want to make sure that we as fans take the moment to recognize that you know, some people are just really good at selling BS. And this also is to follow up on what I've said already on this show, what I will reiterate again, and what I'm going to put emphasis on. Stop falling for good visuals, you stupid idiots. Just because it looks pretty doesn't mean it's going to be a functional game. And this is the lesson learned with this project.
There's quite a few lessons in this one, and I want to jump back. One, you said you don't hate AAA games. I do personally. Like, most AAA game studios are writing on the title AAA and then producing B- games. See Call of Duty, Modern Wealth 3, and the fact is Call of Duty is the exact same as the scam before. It literally repurposed all of its assets and then repackaged it for $70, and not a single dollar is worth it. And then they're also messing with the balance just to make the new stuff better. As in, they literally took the game, rigged it in their favor, and then sold you a pile of trash that benefits only the people getting Christmas bonuses, which is only the C-suite. Everybody else is getting what they're owed. Whether it's late or on time is up to the owner of the company. But at the end of the day, like, this is the most obvious thing that has been going on forever. Like, Ark, I don't know if you guys have followed Ark Survival Evolved, but they've been working on Game 2 for about as long as Unreal has been working on Unreal 5. And it's part of the reason why they haven't done anything to make an Ark 2. But one of the things they tried to do was repackage Ark Survival Evolved and bundle it with a pre-buy of Ark Survival or Ark 2, and then make you buy both in order to get the Unreal 5 Ark Survival Evolved. And immediately their fans were like, no, that's the most disgusting thing ever. They turned around and canceled that deal before it even went live, and then sold both. And look at how well it worked out. They lost nothing. Like, that's the difference between an honorable studio trying something, recognizing that the fans said no, and actually accepting their lack of consent, being like, okay, that's not what they want. We listen to them. Whereas these arrogant executives at Activision, at whoever decided to rally the funds for the scam before, like, all they're doing is the exact same thing Hasbro's doing. Trying to pay nothing to sell you something to then give themselves double the reward. A, they get $3 million a year for being in the C-suite, and then B, they get $3 more million a year for shares.
It was funny. Like
Take the
a
value of your
data
share,
miner went
they
through this
get
game
more.
and was able to track all the asset purchases, and they weren't that long ago either.
But that's what I'm saying though, is Call of Duty is the exact same thing, and it's being heralded as another successful Call of Duty release.
Yeah.
And it's even being considered an iteration in the trilogy, but it is exactly the same. Word for word in terms of what Scam before did. They offered a whole new storyline.
But
They
dude,
gave 4 hours of jank, and then they offered a full new multiplayer system, and it was just remastered.
okay, but hear me out on
versions
this.
of historic assets.
Hear me out
Like-
on this. Hear me out on this. But dude, this blonde is like a 10, and she's all over me. And all I need to do is give her my credit card, and I'm gonna get lucky. Sure, she's dense as a brick, but what a body! Did you think of that? It looks pretty.
No, but it's not even.
Shout
it
out
doesn't
to
even
shout out to
look
Daniel
pretty.
Larson. That's a very good
Yeah.
correlation.
You know, meanwhile, I'm
The
sitting
biggest
here
issue
with
is
the
so much
new.
more of the stripper in the strip club. Like, every stripper loves me. I just gotta get this one lap dance or buy this one drink. And I've heard a million Marines say that, and all of them have been wrong. The issue is both the executives and the audience are saying this. The stripper is the game. You guys can
Yep.
actually just change the rules and stop making these money-hungry schemes. You can actually have some form of honor and actually stand for something. Because if you stand for nothing, you fall for everything.
Corion, you had a
Now-
follow-up thought?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to point out that meanwhile, while all this is going on, developers like Owlcat Games, these are the guys that made the Pathfinder RPG games, which have gotten generally positive reviews, released a Warhammer game called Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, which is direct on top of the lore. Fantastic CRPG style game, and has legitimately on multiple times made me go, oh no, I just ran into something absolutely horrifying and I think my character is about to die, right? Like those moments of, oh, I'm in a bad spot here, you know,
Sense of
happen-
chaotic wonder. The
Right.
chaotic flip side to the sense of wonder. What
Yeah.
do they call that? The sublime, maybe.
Yeah, like the you know, the terror of the terror that can only be appropriately expressed as being a regular everyday human in the Warhammer universe.
Oh,
It's the
And
same-
Stokely's sitting there going like, I hear you. Like,
it's the fear that you paid for. It's the fear that if it was a real monster and you would murder it for scaring you that bad.
yeah, like
But
Stokely.
because it's digital and it's fake, it's what Patton Oswalt used to say, it's getting mad at a moth.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you were a bee. And
Yeah.
then you're mad that it made you scared.
like Stokely, you play Warhammer 40k, and I'm sure there are people who are watching that do. Imagine being a regular everyday kind of like, you know, genetically like base human, right? The world that you're on is going to hell, and as you're about to make it to your shuttle, a Chaos Space Marine shows up. This is like an 8-foot tall being concerned only with murdering humans, basically, and nothing else between you and the shuttle. There was another moment that I think you would appreciate too. I get on board a ship and I'm talking to this guy, and my psychers are all going crazy going, hey man, there's something weird on this ship. I've lost connection to the warp. And I'm like, well, that's bad. And they're like, all have headaches. And I'm like, well, that's not good. And then the guy on board is talking about, he's not talking about the Emperor, but he is talking about worshiping something. And then he starts popping out extra limbs, and I go, oh crap, I'm on a Gene Stealer ship.
Oh, geez.
And I'm about to get wrecked, because this has gone from being like an investigation to a literal, oh man, this is aliens and they're coming through the walls kind of moment. And that's what I'm paying for from games like this, is those moments of, I don't know how I'm going to survive this. And
I think I've ran into a few of those in Project Zomboid. It's just like, oh shit, oh shit. Okay, grab an axe, a couple cans of food, and run out the door, and you're like, I forgot the school bag, my can opener.
Right, but like, those are the moments that we pay for in games and that are missing from AAA titles these days.
Yeah. I
Right?
mean, it's like the first Halo game.
It had them.
Was special for a multitude of reasons, but it's like rewatching.
The Flood showed up the first time.
The Flood show up, and the game's atmosphere like shifts so hard.
They start like crawling a little bit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Now we're no longer doing we're no longer doing sci-fi action adventure 80s shoot 'em up. Now we're straight up in sci-fi 80s horror. And the build up to the Flood is still one of the best in.
Or even just the
that
visuals
point,
when
you're like, oh shit, we need to run
ring.
now. That was the time to run.
Yeah, or guys,
Okay.
even just that moment when you first show up on the ring and you exit the escape pod, and it's that beautiful vista.
You were blinded by its majesty.
It wasn't just beautiful. It was beautiful with a point. Right? Like you were sitting there and you go, wow, this is pretty. Oh man, they're looking for me. I got to find cover. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you have those moments in Halo. And at the time, Halo was a AAA game, and it was fantastic.
Still is.
Right? Still is, right?
Bungie was a AAA studio.
Still
and
is.
the game ended up being AAA. And I think that's the biggest issue, is because Destiny doesn't even compare to the shock and awe of Halo.
Destiny's got a pretty good fan base. I wouldn't go that
huge
far.
fan base. I'm not talking about the fan base.
And a
I'm
lot of
talking about the
non-Halo
number of
fans
people,
too. Like,
but the number of non-Halo fans that can respect everything that is Combat Evolved without being a first-person shooter fan, that's what I mean that Destiny lacks. That's the difference in writing a good game because you're good at writing games and writing Halo. Like, Halo is Doom mixed with Alien versus Predator mixed with Super Space Marines. Like, a lot of different regular things we've seen before, but it was actually written. It was efficiently and effectively and executed with intensity. The difference being that, like, everybody that did that started pawning their jobs off, or they got pawned off. And that's really the biggest thing that these executives, especially the ones over at Activision and the ones that are taking over all the big studios, that they're really missing.
Yeah.
Is that you can be the money handler, but you should make sure you're paying somebody else to be the creative handler.
all right. I think that's pretty much covered our discussion. All right, now for what Daniel Larson and of course anybody else who's a fan of Godzilla Minus One or Godzilla in general has been waiting for.
I have a banner
waiting
prepared for this.
Yeah.
This is straight up the Godzilla movie that you have always wanted to see.
And here's the thing. So first of all, monster movies are not one of my preferred. I think you guys can tell what type of genre of sci-fi I'm into by now. It's not really my monster movies. I've always I don't hate them per se, and I certainly have watched my fair share of classic Godzilla films growing up. Thank you, Turner Classic Movies. But you know, it's just not my thing. It's not for me. Some people,
That's cool.
yeah, some people don't like Star Wars or Star Trek. Don't know why, but that's is what it is. The 2014 Godzilla, I thought, was an excellent film, not just as like an entertaining monster movie, but a good movie for its own right. I liked the way that it was it portrayed Godzilla as a force of nature to take care of another force of nature, not just targeting the humans and, you know, going after them. And that's what we end up having with Godzilla Minus One, but it's because, you know, we nuke him or whatever, and he doesn't necessarily attack unless provoked. I did notice that. So it's I don't know. Is the beast intelligent, or is it just attacking? And then it wasn't necessarily eating people either. That's what I also found fascinating. When he shows up, he's tossing them with his mouth, not eating them.
Well, I mean, look, Godzilla Minus One, I mean, is inheriting a hell of a legacy. There have been 37 Godzilla movies, at least that I'm aware of. And
this one's in the top 5 of all time.
Oh yeah, I think I definitely think this one's in the top of the food chain here. And I guess the thing that you guys have to kind of remember is, like, when it comes to monster movies, there's a couple of important rules. One of them is the plot is what they use to transition between scenes. Let's be honest.
The kaiju.
Yeah, it's the kaiju eating a city, right? Or eating another kaiju while screwing around in a city, right? Like, that's what it's about. And this movie actually made me enjoy the plot of a Godzilla movie. Something I never thought could happen.
It was great.
Definitely need to make note of the soundtrack. I'm definitely going to be buying it if it's not available already. Because that was first of all, it hits the emotions at all the right points, and it sounds like a really good, modern day soundtrack. But then Godzilla shows up into town, and we have a redux of the classic, Godzilla terrorizing the town theme. And it's nostalgia done right. It's an appropriate use of, this is how we do a proper... So the 2014 Godzilla was amazing because it's a modern take on the concept, but it's completely its own thing. This is a modern telling of the classic story, but still making it hit hard with modern themes. Like, I did not expect those wholesome anti-war, very pro-life ideas and messages from this film. And it was all, and I even forgot I was reading subtitles. Like, at least 20 minutes into the movie, I'm already locked into it. It's like, I'm and I think back to some of the things they said, and I can almost hear it in English. But it is just so, yeah. And I love this flag, by the way. Maybe.
You know what? I love this flag. I thought it was great. I was like, this is perfect for our discussions, right?
It's perfect for one of the old fans of the channel.
Godzilla is all over this movie in the daytime. Full bright, full panoramic shots. The city's going down, like close-ups of his head, like his head coming out of the water, big shots of his teeth. Like, this movie shows you the kaiju.
Yeah,
like,
it does. Now, there is one, I can't really call it a minor nitpick. First of all, I absolutely, and John, you're just going to get heavy spoilers at this point. I absolutely love the, Murica F yeah mentality, the citizens rising together to defeat the foe. That was really
interesting
cool.
Solution.
That was awesome. I don't buy it, not because it wouldn't work, but because I have a hard time believing that the United States and Russia are going to ignore a giant sea creature that breathes nuclear laser beams. If anything, the U.S. and Soviet Union are both going to get involved to try to capture it and weaponize it against the other. That's what would have more I just don't buy into it. Like, oh, there's an irradiated lizard that destroys cities, and he can just shoot this at any time and blow stuff up. Yeah, we got geopolitical stuff, you know.
Brother,
Sorry, they're putting nukes
classics.
in Cuba. We got bigger problems than a
Oh my god.
indestructible
This is
lizard.
actually the perfect segue into Apple TV's show Monarch.
Gonna tease Monarch.
Not even kidding. This is the perfect segue because they actually take the time to go back to the 1950s and
This takes place in
illustrate-
47,
right. And so this is
45,
So-
47.
is that one Nagasaki or 3 Mile Island?
Neither. It's one of the tests.
It's a Bikini Atoll.
Okay, so actually, so whatever.
in vicinity of Bikini Bottom.
Yes.
Right, not 3 Mile Island, Bikini Atoll. So that's actually the
3 Mile Island didn't
Second-
explode, at least not in my timeline. Did it explode in yours?
No, I wasn't thinking
No.
about the explosion. I was thinking that was what it was called, Bikini Atoll. But the island, Bikini Atoll, in Monarch, I think is either episode 2 or 3 of Monarch. So episode 1, and so that what they're doing is again multiple timelines. There's the birth of Monarch, where it originally started, which was a precursor to
Yeah,
Bikini
real
Atoll,
quick.
which was also the inspiration for Bikini Atoll,
Real quick,
which then
hey to you,
brought
Stephanie.
Godzilla back.
Welcome. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, Stephanie.
Right. So in Monarch, it starts, the original Monarch group started after World War II as 3 paid frontier scientists. They like two of them, one's a military escort for one who is looking for something. There is no explanation of whether or not it's Godzilla, but it's in the 40s
All right.
and it's post
Yeah.
World War II.
Real quick, of course, shout out to one of our best supporters, Stephanie Janicek, Smuggler's Cantina. Stopping by to say hi on my way to bed. Have a good conversation, guys. We absolutely will.
Thank you so
It'll
much.
be there for you whenever you're ready, but thanks for taking the time to say something while we were here.
We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so Monarch goes into that part of the group that is Monarch, the American spy agency that supposedly hunted the monsters. And I think it's actually funny because the first thing they do is nuke Godzilla. And so the reason they nuke Bikini Atoll is because their scientists found signs of Godzilla. And they don't know what they found. They know it's a kaiju. They know it's a giant beast. And they know that there's a group of monsters, they call them Titans, that are like this. And it's mostly based off of just theory. And then they start finding evidence and they start proving it. And that's like what the whole show is. And so I'm only on like episode 6 with everybody else because that's as far as it's released. But like it's a combination of trying to fix the 2014 Godzilla to the rest of them by being like, no, this is what Monarch was doing in the interim. We were building all of these bunkers and catching all these monsters, and we've been doing it since 1947. And then apparently Godzilla Minus One is what Godzilla was doing while Monarch was doing this before the 2014 attack. Because at no point has Godzilla died. And by the laws of the Monarch Godzilla verse, and it's crazy because if you watch the Netflix series for Godzilla in Japanese, they do like 200 years in the future when Godzilla has officially nuked the world. And now we're in a post-apocalyptic tribal hunter-gatherer version of America / the world, and that's just a fantastic animated series, but it's also in line with Monarch. Like, so somehow
Yeah,
all
right.
of these Godzilla verses are
Well,
in the
let's-
same
let's-
realm.
All right, so
of
let's
Godzilla,
go around the
with
table.
37
Let's go around the
movies.
table real quick. I'm certainly sold on Monarch personally. So we'll see if we can fit it into the show lineup or do a follow up. You will, however, come back with Godzilla Minus One review when we bring the show back next year.
As soon as I can afford it, man. I love it. I love Godzilla. I'm super in the
Yeah,
zone.
dude, you're gonna be over the moon as soon as you see the first shot of Godzilla jumping out of the
Yeah,
water. You're gonna be
I
like, "Oh shit!"
I
Yeah.
watched the trailer because I watched Critical Drinker's review on it, and I was already sold. And it's pissing me off because it came out during this whole Monarch binge, and I've already re-binged the current 2014 trilogy and the 1999 one, and I'm out of stuff to binge in between each episode each week. And so I am trying to see this. I just am legitimately poor. And that's the only issue. It's not laziness.
Yeah. Daniel Larson says, I'd argue that the U.S. completely abandoning their clear responsibility to stop Godzilla fills out the theme of government failure to their basic duty, so the little guy steps up. I'm not saying, like, I liked what it was. I just don't buy that they're going to ignore the nuclear beam-breathing lizard in favor of geopolitical BS.
The crazy part is for this story, though.
Like I said, if anything,
in terms with Monarch, not to try and spoil it or anything, but in terms with Monarch, Bikini Atoll they thought was successful. They actually thought they killed Godzilla. So for Godzilla to just go off to Japan and then fuck them up in the interim is hilarious in the cosmic scheme. Like, they're like, yeah, we did it. We killed that beast. And Japan's like, no, that's why he attacked us.
And I'm sorry, but if they're going to pull boats from the UN that they're planning to send to tribute to the UN's going to go, why? Oh, we got this nuclear beam-breathing dragon that's terrorizing the town. We got to take care of it real quick. Oh, yeah, we're the UN. That's fine. With no big deal.
The UN's gonna be like, sure, that's why you're pulling them away. Hey guys,
that's why they're pulling them away. By the way, we're gonna convene the nations and have an emergency convention, and maybe get like all the UK boats over there, the US boats over there, the Russian boats will even try to get in there.
And what did they hear? Confirmations, and none of them are ready. And America's not gonna be like, oh, we might have pissed it off.
Well, no, they're not going to. That's all the more reason for America to try to capture the thing, so then they can sick it on Russia.
A way to do that. Yeah. They're pretending it doesn't exist. Like, see no evil, hear no evil. Japan might not exist tomorrow. Let's take that.
Yeah, look.
I'm sorry, but the U.S. would hear a weapon like that, then they would try to tame and capture it.
Well, okay, no. The first thing that would happen would be they'd get the report, and somebody would go, okay, come on, guys, who's funding with us?
Well, right? They would, but then the pictures of the destruction of the city are after that point. Once they had gotten word and visual
once they got that, then
Nope.
things changed.
I'm sorry, but they wouldn't have gone like, we'll get
the craziest
noted.
Inaccuracy of all the Godzilla movies is Tokyo was already looking exactly like that because of what America did to it.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how the movie starts.
Nowhere near been rebuilt. So like all of them are in it. There's no buildings.
That's how the movie. That's how the movie takes place. So you've gotta see Godzilla Minus One.
I do. I really want to, but that's what I'm saying though. Is like they would go in and be like, yeah, there was us. Like they're trying to say that we're attacking again. It's not us. Like a lot of it would be misdirect. They would assume propaganda. They would assume lies, especially when the lies.
By that time, the U.S. was fully occupying Japan and helping them rebuild everything. So again, it's really
to the best of their ability, and that's what I'm saying though. Is like if Monarch's to be believed, there was a group technically in charge of handling it, and they didn't, and they need to cover that up so they don't lose funding. And also, they obviously can't nuke it with a hydrogen bomb, which is what they were testing at Bikini Atoll, and it failed. They have no way of stopping this. They already had no way of containing it because they hadn't thought that was possible. Because they're basically, like in Monarch, it's saying that the way they trivialize Titans or the way they image them in their headspace is they're basically lions. All of them are alpha monsters fighting over land, and we are just unfortunately at the whim of their existence. And so
yeah, that's what I loved about the
generals are like, oh great, it's another Japan. If we just nuke it real quick, it'll die. And that's what they did, and it didn't work. So for this to be going on in Japan, they're like, we're just gonna let it happen to our foreign enemy from 2 years ago. And also we got nothing. Like that's exactly what the president received. We have literally nothing. We tried the H-bomb, the biggest bomb in existence.
Don't get me wrong. I love the resolution and I love how it goes. I just think there needed to be a bit more fleshing out of why the US and Soviets would not have gotten as directly involved. Because they would have at least sent like representatives or people from the KGB or CIA would have been on the boats during the battle.
Who's telling the story?
Huh?
Who is telling the story? Do we hear it from the Japanese president?
No.
Because if we don't, then what if that guy just never heard about those meetings? Like theoretically, the ambassadors or whoever could have talked.
I think you
like
gotta watch the movie because they really do give a pretty half-assed reason to not, especially since it's terrorizing boats in the ocean too. Like everything about what this Godzilla's behavior is versus what I would assume common sense would take. It doesn't quite align, and some explanation needed to be fleshed out better than just, oh yeah, we're busy with the Soviets. Yeah, oh yeah, like I said, I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Nuclear bomb, yeah.
But I mean, that's
nuclear blast breathing lizard is like, terrorizing town. We got geopolitical stuff. Did you hear the Soviets called us poo-poo heads?
But where was Russia in the 2014?
They were the Russian Federation by then.
No, in the 2014 movie, they didn't help America at all with Godzilla attacking San Francisco.
Well, there was no time because that one happens like so fast. This one happens over periods of like weeks and days. The 2014 Godzilla is like a 48-hour.
Remember the 2014? They had the Monarch that woke up. Then Godzilla showed up in San Francisco. Then there was the fight in Vegas. Like it was several weeks because you remember the guy that was flying home from Japan. That's a 24-hour flight in itself, and he took 4 days to get back to San Francisco, made Godzilla, and then still behind everything. And that's what I mean. It was like,
well, the 2014 movie takes place real quickly. This one takes place over like years and months, and then it's like the last battle takes place over like 10 days of buildup, and I'm like, no, even with the limited communications at the time, someone's gonna get a picture. Someone's gonna get a picture. Based on
that information, the timeline, that's too long.
No, someone's gonna get a picture of Godzilla after he nuclear blasts a city to Truman's desk, and the next thing, Truman's gonna be sending planes after.
We're gonna get that picture out. That's $1 billion photo. The first live photo of a monster, and at this
there was still plenty of survivors after the first explosion.
Exactly,
like
that's
you gotta watch the movie. You really gotta watch the movie.
When you say it's more than 3 or 4 days or more than a week, too long. Godzilla, like in all the Monarch trilogy, none of the monster fights take longer than 2 weeks, and that's actually part of the realism to the Vanishing Act.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
too long.
The timeline for Godzilla Minus One worked based on what they were going for, right? I will say too, the plot felt really like correctly tight too. That was something I really appreciated.
Oh yeah,
right?
No,
like,
there was not a boring moment of this movie.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a lot of heavy themes throughout. Like I was very impressed with this. This is one of the best. This is one of the best movies of the year. I would see this as potentially like just barely unseating Oppenheimer for Best Picture, but Oppenheimer got snubbed. Go figure. Yeah. No surprise there. So if this somehow does come in, I can't remember if this one was nominated either or not. If it is, it's really because of how much stuff. Like they have, this is a real human movie in a lot of ways, in a lot of good ways, a lot of introspection about war and about life, and that's just what impresses me about it. Is it's a monster movie that really values life in a way that no monster movie ever has,
and that had a quality plot too. Like
it's not preachy. It's not everything that modern woke movies think they are or have been trying to be. Godzilla Minus One did it all and knocked it out of the park and did it seamlessly and didn't offend anybody. And it's one of the best movies ever made. I know I've been saying that a lot, the last few months, but I'm like, no. I mean, between Oppenheimer, between something else we watched recently.
Well, dude, isn't that the beauty of the critical eye? Like we were talking about how many movies it's ruined for us. But if you think about it, it's like also the like, oh my god, this one's the best. No, this one's the best. Oh my god, these guys actually are getting better at their craft.
No, I didn't. Like, I feel like I could watch Godzilla Minus One and 2014 Godzilla next to each other, and neither's going to diminish from the other because they're both so great movies on their own of the same concept.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, with the timeline, of course, we could just say that the 2014 Godzilla morphs from the remains of the minus one Godzilla, which I could totally buy. In fact, that's my headcanon now. 2014 Godzilla.
I think
Godzilla
you're
minus
gonna
one
love
the same.
Monarch. I think you're gonna love Monarch because it does the same thing. It doesn't diminish from either of
I'm
these.
sold on the show. It sounds like a better version of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., more or less.
Exactly. To me, like, and I've been saying this about it in the offline, but like to me, Monarch is the proof of concept that I've been theorizing for what Disney could do to save their trilogy. Like, you want to make money in the background and actually like make your thing make sense. You do the Monarch for the interim shows. Like, you do a couple of shows that explain Rey's training, her education, her ability to adapt so fast in the span of what appears to be 24 space hours, right? And like, that's always been our beef with her, is it's always just the unrealistic power scale, especially based on known quantities. Like, if she was the first Jedi ever, okay, maybe. But like Luke, the first Jedi ever, his first force power ever was trusting to know when to shoot the gun. That's it. Just knowing when to pull the trigger. Nothing extra, nothing special, nothing magical. The lightsaber was 2 seconds for him and 3 for Ben. And that was Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. The first Jedi ever. Therefore, the rules are set if you're gonna try to bank on that franchise. That's the beauty of banking on a franchise. The rules are set. And then when you break them, you don't get to just run over everybody and gaslight us and pretend like you didn't do that. Because like, that's the absolute worst part about all of this, is you're all pretending like you didn't do that. And Godzilla does what, like, Parker's got beef with this one and everybody's got beef with every other one. And not a single Godzilla has ever gaslit us different. It's never pretended like it didn't. The guys that wrote it are like, guys, I thought this was Godzilla. I didn't think we were going to be scrutinized so much. So no, not taking this. And then they go make another one. And then Monarch is like, hey, we're going to take the scrutiny. We're going to make a whole show about Godzilla. And if you want to scrutinize us, we actually put in the effort to make it make sense. And if we didn't, let us know so we can adapt.
And let me be clear. My one gripe is like I said, I just it's more of a lesson of ask yourself the obvious dumb questions. Play out the scenarios in your head. Think about it realistically. Russia and or the United States get rumors even of a nuclear breathing lizard that, you know, is just being let loose on Japan. One of those sides is going to immediately start scrambling to get a team together to figure out how they can control it and direct it onto the other. That's exactly the conversation that would have started to happen. But I digress. It could easily, it could be, but it's something to think about, you know, and as a writer myself to consider that sometimes when you've thought about all the obvious, well, you know, it doesn't hurt to think about it.
Obviously forgot about something.
They obviously forgot about and you know what, maybe it's not as obvious. Maybe it isn't. Maybe they didn't think they didn't realize that, like, you know, the height of the Cold War started like right out of the gate. Like, it wasn't something that built up to. We were immediately on tough tensions with the Soviets right after World War II. So it was that. So yeah, any advantage that either side could get, they were going to take. And there's a lot of different, you know, shows, whether fictional or historical fiction or nonfiction, that cover all of this. But the Cold War really was like any chance that we could get over the Soviets or vice versa, it was taken. And so that's why I'm like, there should have been some kind of, you know, mobilization or something. But like I said, I still love the movie.
The issue with that is that, like, that's a modern day realization about the Cold War. Like,
well, I think at this point, in order to have an actual productive discussion, you need the context of the film and the plot to understand what I'm talking about.
I hear you. I just mean more in terms of, like, not every writer is as educated in America's efforts in the Cold War, because a lot of American propaganda really put a lot of effort into saying that like we were really, really good guys and the Russians were really big bullies and we were just trying to keep it cool. And when I say a lot of effort, I mean trillions of dollars into propaganda, into maintaining media, into regulating every single version of thought that they could from education on up. And so a lot of people actually still kind of believe that America was mostly just nerdy dorks with a lot of guns. And the reality is we were not. We were exactly as vicious as we painted Russia to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody is passionate about where they come from. But let's go.
Well, I just mean like to anybody that is curious about what America did in the Cold War, everything that we said Russia was doing was projection. It was what we were doing, and then basically saying if we're capable of it, Russia is capable of it.
Basically. Daniel Larson says, now guys, we know the Ray movie is definitely coming, unlike what some people are claiming. Yeah, no, without a doubt. Ray movie totally happening. Yeah.
It's set up for just after the Rian Johnson trilogy.
February, yeah, just after the Rian Johnson, just after the Tiki Torch Taika Waititi movie.
February 30th.
February 30th, exactly.
Calendar
Daniel Larson also follows up with, I'm picturing the CIA trying to create Godzilla love pheromones to try and seduce him into working with them. Exactly. No, they totally would.
They would 100% be going for the mating call. Sea Monarch. Not
We're
kidding.
going to.
It's
We're going to
so
talk about it. We're
weird.
going to figure out our
No,
schedule.
but
We're going to come in hot and strong after
I
the
just feel
break.
like there's
But
a ton more Godzilla lore, and I feel like Bigfoot might be a distraction. Godzilla
well, and that's
might
just
be-
it. If they keep cranking out movies and shows like this that are, because we got Godzilla versus Kong, which I'm like, I don't care. But
I love it.
if we do
It's so
Godzilla,
hard. It doesn't
but
make any sense.
if we do Godzilla movies like Godzilla Minus One and the 2014 Godzilla, and we stay like, oh no, we're monster movies that take ourselves super seriously. Oh, and I wanted to say too, Daniel Larson mentioned something about the Godzilla model, which looked great. Yeah. When he started stomping into what was that, Ginza, and the music started playing, that's the original Godzilla model that they based that off of, and then pretty much touched it up with more, modern, believable scales and whatnot. So, yeah, that's probably why it looked so good. But he still, because I looked at his arms and the way that his legs moved, and I was like, wait, I've seen that before. Oh, right, I had a Godzilla action figure when I grew up.
Oh
It's
yeah,
moving
the
exactly
head is
like
just
it.
like, the head
Guys,
is
that's
like the OG Godzilla head.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, in case you're interested, they are releasing the movie internationally in black and white as well as in color
Oh neat.
to pay homage to the original.
I mean, I am gonna see it again. Lord Trinan says, Panda. Welcome, Lord Trinan. Good to see you. But yeah, it's this is one of the
An
greatest. This is such a good
absolutely
movie.
outrageous rolling spectacle that is just. I was in awe at
Oh, yeah.
a lot of these shots. Just
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, I'm tempted to
blew me
look up
away
Showtimes and go see it
over
again
and
tonight.
Over and
Like,
over again.
Everything about this is one of the masterclass, and I mean to see it even in black and white, to see how that would. I mean, it's just it. Like I said, it takes. There's a
These
right way and a wrong
shots
way
are
to do nostalgia.
ambitious.
And this was the absolute right way, not just making the not just making the movie in the modern age, but setting it in the time period of the original Godzilla films, and just it's not just necessarily a love letter, but the way that it incorporates into the story and did not feel cheesy. Like when he walks in and you get the Godzilla theme for the first time when he's stomping in the town, I'm like, this is amazing. This doesn't
I
feel
was blown
forced.
away.
This feels like exactly what the creators and of the original Godzilla were trying to show
accomplish.
people. Like this
Yeah.
is what they had in their heads, and we finally get to see it. Like on the
That's
screen.
what I was thinking. Like the way the crowds are shot and everything, like the panic shots and everything, running down the streets. I'm like, man, this is what they had in their heads. when they
Wasn't
made
the original
those movies.
Godzilla used as Japanese propaganda to say what actually happened to Japan?
No, what it was supposed to be was a metaphor for American aggression.
Which, I mean, it
Right.
could really just be a metaphor for, yeah, aggression.
100% explains the nod to why America bailed.
Like I said, I'm not saying it couldn't have happened the way it did. It didn't. I needed a bigger reason, you know.
I needed
like the
two lines instead of one.
2 lines or something. Just like, yeah, the U.S. is dealing with some crazy weird threat. Like we could have thrown the Tremors in
Thanos.
there or something.
I don't
Or
know.
yeah, just some kind of the U.S.
They're
is
dealing with
occupied.
Gamera right now.
Right,
And, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, Gamera. Oh God. Anyway, yeah, man, that put a bad taste in my mouth. You're
That's okay. I'm about to do a worse one. I've got the greatest Dr. Seuss line.
Oh no.
Would you, could you in Japan with Godzilla and Rodan?
I'm so glad this show's ending, at least for the year.
Yeah, I've hit the point of total madness. Yeah.
Well, you know, I decided to advertise artistic nudity, and I just took off an American flag shirt to reveal a Star Trek Christmas shirt. We've hit the point of no return on the Weird Brothers, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think we've proven that we need a vacation pretty hard.
Was the whole point. So,
Tis
So,
the
yeah.
season.
Tis the season. So yes, if you have not seen Godzilla Minus One, go see it, and then go see it again, and then see it again, because this is what we want in movies, like right here. This is what it entertains. Like I don't even care who the studio was. Like I to remind myself, this is purely, now some of the CG shots I could tell were obviously, but at the same time, you watch enough of these movies, you develop an eye for it. But even compared to current Marvel CGI. Oh, it blows it out of the water. Not even a comparison.
Well, dude, I think again, it's a testament to the care, like the amount of the budget. It was a smaller budget film, smaller budget studio, just based off what I've heard about it. And then on top of that, like some of these people for Marvel are some of the greatest CG artists ever, and then they're being asked to do a gag and Marvel and for low pay. Like none of the, like that's the worst part about AAA industry is the AAA products are usually really great, but the AAA artists are usually extremely underpaid and underrespected in studio.
Given very, very little time.
Exactly, given very little time, and then like the stuff that they put hours and hours and months and months and months, like all the development secrets that nobody knew was going on, they just get that shit deleted. Like that's the stuff where the EP comes in and goes, I need this reshot and re-CGI'd within the hour. And it's like, that was the one I spent hours on. That punch, the way it landed on, it was literally picture perfect. And now you want it completely reshot because, let me reread this. It's not a chick and she's not gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it again.
Like that guy's burned because he was already mostly just excited to finally put his name on a Marvel movie and doing it for less than he's worth. And the reason he had to edit it last minute is because of some personal opinion or some, like even with these testing groups, like the problem with testing groups in most issues right now is the fact that people take them literally and not as testing groups. Like, hey, we pooled 10 random people and asked them to be super secret about it. So we only got the 10 we could hope we could trust, and we paid for them at a mall in Idaho.
Yeah.
And their opinion was, she's not a chick and she's not gay, so it's lame. So we want you to put a chick in it and make it gay. And it's like, no, that wasn't their opinion. Their opinion was something completely different because nobody knows. Nobody saw what the testers saw. We saw the edited, tester approved version. It should never be tester approved. It should be tester adjusted.
Well, that's why they hate channels.
Makes sense.
That's why they hate channels like ours, because we don't do.
It's actually why they love them, because we're
Some
free
of them,
tested.
those smart ones,
It's
love channels like
hilarious.
ours, because we'll give them the truth whether they want it or not, and
Well,
that's like.
No, it's the underpaid aficionados, the ones that are doing it for their craft, just like us, the ones that want to be doing it for the money, so that we can focus mostly on producing good quality content. And it's not the EPs, because the EPs are pissed that we're calling them out, rather than being like, maybe these people are onto something, because this is exactly what our employees are saying about us. Because turns out it's not rocket science. It's very obvious social science.
And actually,
EPs are only-
on top of that, as it turns out, rocket science isn't even rocket science. It's just a lot of complicated math that other people do. Otherwise, understanding the concept of it and the basic physics, it's pretty easy.
All right.
As our, very highly intelligent viewers of the Writer Brothers all know.
Right,
And
all
anybody
of
who's
that
played
is to
Kerbal
say,
Space Program.
Yeah.
the only people playing dumb are the EPs, executives, and managers.
All right,
The people
so-
who are messing this up are the ones responsible
Yeah.
for this.
So,
And that is actually my segue into season 2 of Jack Reacher. Because
you got
in
3
season
minutes.
2 of- I know. In season 2 of Jack Reacher, we are talking about book 2 of Lee Child's Reacher series. And it is phenomenal. So much fun. All of the trailer is already over, so I have no idea what's coming this week, and I am super pissed because it's not already here. But in the first 3 episodes, we get introduced to the main plot. And the reason why I say my segue is a perfect example of it is because, well, a middle manager who was cheating up the system decided to take out the one person that could take him out and ruin the whole thing.
Daniel Larson
It's
says,
a
"I
mess.
don't hit soft." Fantastic line. Yeah, no, I remember that one from the trailer. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this show. So that'll of course segue into our
Don't
last.
mess with the special investigators, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That'll of course segue into our last 10 minutes of the show, and of course this is our. So this of course technically, January 9th of course doesn't start year 3. Year 3 doesn't come until after February 17th. But technicality. I think we're gonna take the next couple of weeks.
Calendar year.
To take a break, and I think we're gonna and going during that downtime while we are gonna relax from having to prepare for this show for a couple of weeks, I'm certainly gonna be hard at work planning out new some new things behind the scenes to try and help give us a slow facelift over the next couple of months as we get ready to launch into year 3, which we are planning to put together. Now what's that gonna look like? Well, we want to put together a more we want to continue to present ourselves more clearly and articulate, and I think that's going to help by having the Tuesday show remain as more pop culture focused, and then Casual Free for All Friday is what I refer to as our political and for more political dumping ground, so to speak, because we aren't afraid to have conversations here. We've got 402 now awesome subscribers that found us since we just started doing this. Yeah, we promote on Twitter, but there's no corporations that are getting us going. We are pretty much entirely supported on whenever the algorithm decides to favor us, depending on who's running it and pulling the strings with that. We are promoted whenever you guys decide to put us out there, and whatever your,
When our
your
friends and
tweets, whatever
family-
reach, or our friends and family. We are entirely listener supported, and that's never going to change. My promise to you guys as fans of the Writer Brothers is that we are not for sale. As tempting as it is in my financial situation, especially right now, as it would be to sign, a 6-figure contract or whatever, and get this, get us some actual money so we can put in a better looking product. The problem is those types of contracts, people don't hand those out for free. They come with expectations, they come with favors, and they come with strings attached. Now, if somebody would like to fund us out of the goodness of their own heart and you know, be shouted out for that funding, that's different. That's taking in money on a donation type of or taking money on a donation and whatnot. We are not selling out. We are committed to honest, quality human content. And what I mean, and I put emphasis on this because I'm going to call out somebody else, since we aren't afraid to call people out by their names and the shitty things they do. John Krasinski, somebody who I used to have some tremendous respect for until he sold out. And for those of you who don't know who John Krasinski was, he was Jim, probably most famously known as Jim on the US version of The Office. And while he is a talented actor, certainly, he put out a program during the virus of unspecified origin, right as that had just started, those lockdowns, called Some Good News. And it was a YouTube channel that he was hosting, and basically his goal was to, instead of to counter the media narrative of, oh, everything's bad and people are terrible, he wanted to talk about, you know, the good things that people were doing to make the best of the shitty situation. It was really good. It was a very amazing humanitarian thing to see. I believed in what he was doing and supporting, and I gained a lot of respect for the guy because I thought this is the message I believe in. This is what we need to be doing more of. Life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but you know what? It's not all storm clouds and doom and gloom either. Life really is what you make of it, and the choices you make do impact the kind of life you will live and how things will work out. And so the reason why I lost respect for John Krasinski was because as soon as he got an offer from a big company, I think it was CBS at the time, bought it out. And second that happened, I lost faith in whatever the product was, because I knew it wasn't going to matter, because they were going to throw it behind a paywall and they were going to do all this stuff and exploit everybody's, you know, good intentions and good vibes. We will never put that kind of content behind a paywall. We do try to talk about positive news and good things that we can do, but we are honest, meaning that some days we've got to be human. Some days we do the memorial stuff, not just for celebrities. We do it for family members that are close to this channel, and people, and even in our own lives, whether they're family that are involved with us or not. We are a human network. We will always be a human network. But in the interest of getting that message out there, we need to elevate our standards a little bit. And so that is what we want to continue to do, is with every year we want to improve and we want to continue to incorporate. Casual Free For All Friday isn't necessarily just intended to be the political dumping ground. It's intended to also be a springboard for you guys, for us to talk about whatever we want and to get our message out there. And it's continuing to grow with honest quality human content, because we have honest quality humans like Corione here, who, by the way, is in the top 10 for the Cheer Choice Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, and any other identifiers there in between or outside of, however you choose to be, it's your business.
Non-including tentacle monsters.
Yes, of course. Guys,
there was a lot
the
of
momentum
people on this list.
is alive here and well. And if Corione gets into the top 5, this means that we are going to be meeting live in Las Vegas. We will do a special there and coordinate everything around that. But this is the final stretch. So if you've been voting, thank you. Your efforts have been working, but we need to keep the momentum alive, and we need to keep voting, especially now these last couple of days, because if Corione gets in the top 5, it's a chance for us to not only meet in person, but also meet a lot of other people in the process and really just boost the Ryder Brothers Network and the message that we want to put out here in a way that just isn't really going to do it. And again, it's all because of you guys believing in us as well. And so first of all, I would like to say thank you from not just Corione's behalf, but for myself, and the fact that you guys have rallied to support our co-host and our good friend here. So Corione, I'll let you have the last couple of words. We've got about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm absolutely deeply humbled by everything you guys have done to try to push me towards this victory. And I literally could not have ever even conceived of doing this without you guys and the amazing co-hosts I have here on the Ryder Brothers. We have gone from over 250 people in the category that I am nominated in some of whom who have million-plus channel memberships, to, you know, being in the top 10. I'm actually still in the number 2 spot right now in the category. And it's because of you guys, because you guys have been continuously on the voting and moving forward, because of my amazing co-hosts on this channel that have been doing everything they can to, by hook or by crook, make this happen. I am so overwhelmed by the support you guys have shown me. I'm really glad Petey started this off, because I don't think I could have made it through this without him. You guys have been amazing, and I appreciate you. And God, I love you guys. Thank you so much. And let's finish strong. As I've been saying, let's give the smallest channel the biggest shot. And you know, I've been joking around at home. You know, at the ending of Real Steel, when they go, you know, like, because I don't know if I'm gonna win, but you know, at the ending when they go to Haley Joel Osment's character, you know, they're talking about calling you the people's champ. Well, I'm gonna say this: the Writer Brothers champion sounds about right. Yeah,
Acceptable. Daniel Larson says, sadly, gents, I may not be able to show up for this show anymore. If not, it's been real fun. Well, I understand if life gets in the way, but that's why we don't hide our stuff after replay. It's up there for you guys to examine when it's convenient for you. That, again, as part of our promise of not selling out, that's also part of our promises that our stuff will, you know, will there be members-only content in the future? Sure. But this show ain't ever going to be it, and neither is Casual Free-for-All Friday. Or any of the game streams unless they're special.
The only way we're attempting to game the system is against the system. You, the people that support us, you're on our team. You're the people we're trying to gain again.
Yep.
Like, we're actually with you. And in that essence, like, we're like anything, like the whole life thing.
So anyway, shout out, of course, to everybody: Daniel Larson, Lord Trinan, Stephanie Janizek, Agent DBK, Nemesis of Eden, the Comic Relief Crusader, and of course, shout out to all of our new subscribers. Thank you guys for helping us cross over 400. This is a fantastic way to end the new year. I will see you next year. This has been a presentation of the Writer Brothers Tuesday Night Live show. Thank you guys for an amazing 2023. We hope to see you back in 2024. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, and I'll see you when I see you.